that scripture tells us that Satan masquerades as an angel of light, and his servants masquerade as servants of righteousness. And so like Snow White, who was presented with this delicious looking apple that turned out to be poison, in real life we're presented with things that look good on the surface, but are also poison to our souls. Things are not always as they seem. So we must grow in our ability to discern, to see things as they really are. When we slow down, return to truth, and test the fruit being produced, then disguises start to fall away, spells are broken, and the matrix starts to lose its grip. Fairy tales remind us that things are not always as they seem. That hideous beast turns out to be a handsome prince. That fragile old woman knocking at our door turns out to be the evil queen in disguise. And what at first glance looks like grandma turns out to be the big bad wolf in disguise. These fairy tales are pointing to a deeper reality, but this is not just in children's literature. The novel Pride and Prejudice makes a similar point as well. While Mr. Darcy initially appears arrogant and cold, he turns out to be noble and honorable. While on the other hand, Mr. Wickham initially appears charming and handsome, turns out to be deceptive and corrupt. Time and again, our fairy tales and novels and movies remind us that things are not always as they seem. And scripture makes this point clear as well. That scripture tells us that Satan masquerades as an angel of light, and his servants masquerade as servants of righteousness. And so evil doesn't scare us as much as it does seduce us. It paints a picture of how things appear, something that is attractive to us, appealing to us, but yet evil and corrupt at its core. And so like Snow White, who was presented with this delicious looking apple that turned out to be poison, often in real life we're presented with things that look good on the surface, but are also poison to our souls. These might be public figures who offer us many inspiring words and righteous causes, or entertainers who can keep us amused with their music and movies and the like. Politicians, social movements, even religious institutions can appear noble on the surface, but are at their core subtly shifting our allegiance away from Christ. Again, they're not scaring us per se with evil, but slowly seducing us away from Christ. Things are not always as they seem. And so we must grow in our ability to discern, to see things as they really are. This first calls us to slow down, to pause, and not simply take things at face value. This is what the Bereans did, that even as Paul and Silas were teaching them, they slowed down, they paused, they questioned the things that they were being taught. And not just questioning it, they then went back to the original source. They went back to Scripture to see if what Paul and Silas were teaching them were accurate. And so whether it's our preacher or a politician or public figure, this is a good practice for us as well, to slow down, to pause, to start to question, and then go back to the original source. Not simply taking things at face value or what's popping up on our news feed, but going back to the original, what is actually true. We must get back to those bedrock principles and realities and discern what is truth from there. We also discern by simply testing the fruit that is being produced. Jesus tells us that a tree is known by its fruit. And so as we are hearing these words and these thoughts and these concepts and these ideals, what fruit is being produced by those who are adopting them? Is love, joy, peace, patience, and the like being produced? Or is division and hatred and fear being produced? A good tree produces good fruit, and a bad tree produces bad fruit. And so if bad fruit is being produced, then the tree is bad. If the fruit being produced is good, then the tree is good. While we want to discern, we don't want to become Chicken Little and see the sky falling everywhere. That our discernment doesn't mean that we need to grow paranoid or become cynical about every leader or institution in our life. Every leader, institution, or friend is not evil in disguise. And so discernment is not for us to live in fear, but to live with a true hope, to see reality as it truly is. When we slow down, return to truth, and test the fruit being produced, then disguises start to fall away, spells are broken, and the matrix starts to lose its grip. Is there somewhere in your life that you've unwittingly bitten into the poison apple, or still under the spell of the evil one? Pray for the eyes to see, the wisdom to discern, and the courage to live free. If this resonates with you, then like and subscribe, and share with other men who might also need help breaking the spells in their life. And then check out this next video on how the princess we're called to rescue might also be the dragon. Check that out here.